Well, hello and welcome. I'm Tom Schmidt with Ozarks First, and once again, it proved to be a busy weekend. And I'm not just talking about the storms. Now, this weekend, thousands of ham radio operators and clubs met all around the world, each in search of making a new contact or filling out a map full of contacts. Now, the people I was with were very clear that this wasn't a contest, but there were certain signs that can't be ignored. What you're about to see is a lot of showing and telling about what ham radio is, why it's still relevant in today's fast-paced and tech-savvy world. Now, to help explain, here are some of the members of the Nixa Amateur Radio Club. Enjoy. This Saturday marked the 2025 Amateur Radio Field Day hosted by the American Radio Relay League. This event draws over 30,000 ham radio operators all around the globe. Dave Harris is the vice president of the Nixa Amateur Radio Club.
Well, Dave, we're standing here in front of a trailer. We've got towers all around us. We had rain this morning. You guys were out here in tents in the rain. Why are we out here today?
We're out here today because what they call Amateur Radio Relay League's Field Day. What Field Day is, what it was originally brought up for was to clubs to be able to get out with amateur radio, to be able to see how fast they could set up in an emergency situation. It's practice to deploy. It's truly, the day was meant to deploy radios, antennas for emergency communications in any emergency. Hurricane, earthquake, tornadoes. So it's actually just become a day where ham radio operators all over the country get out, set up situations like this. I mean, like today, we're set up here at an elementary school. And yeah, we've got 3 antennas set up around with 3 stations, as you saw inside with the trailer. But they're making contacts all over the world. It's not just the United States. Some people think it's just the United States. But other countries getting involved in this to make field day contacts as well.
All right, and you guys are having this, you've got this trailer back here. You put a lot of work into what we're seeing here.
Right.
You've got battery packs, a whole bunch of other stuff I don't really know about. What can you tell us about what we're seeing back here and just all the equipment that goes into this?
What you're seeing back here, this is actually part of our control center for our trailer. This is, we call it our emergency communications trailer. And what we've got back here, we've actually got a repeater back here. You brought up the batteries. We've got the Victron system. You guys actually have that same type of system. I don't know if it's the same one in the back of your weather vehicle.
Yes, we do. You have back in the storm trailer.
And with the Victron system, that's what keeps our batteries charged. And that makes a difference in emergency communications, because you can't get power, which right now we're connected to a generator for today.
Sure.
So we're running off a generator, but we can actually connect to shore power. But having this to where these batteries are capable of running our radios, if we get out in a situation where they haven't got power to that, where they won't deploy us, want us set up, we can actually get up and get communication started for the emergency situation.
And you wouldn't even really need the generator to do that either.
Right. Nope.
You have
we could actually
you'd have at least a day, you were saying, of being able to communicate out of this trailer.
Yep.
Okay.
The generator would make it nice because then we could run our air conditioners on top.
Yeah.
That air conditioner will not run off the batteries.
Well,
which is fine. But the thing is that I'm not going to, in an emergency situation like that, unless I'm just totally dying, I'm not going to be as worried about my comfort. I'm going to be worried about getting the information out or helping in this situation. Because just like Joplin, a perfect example, Cox Hospital got took a direct hit.
Sure.
They couldn't communicate back to Cox and Springfield.
Yeah.
So there was amateur operators that were deployed that were doing the communications between Joplin and Springfield.
Well, Dave, we've seen the back of the trailer now. Let's go over and take a look at some of the towers, the equipment, the actual antennas.
Okay.
And then we'll jump from there and go inside the trailer, see the people actually making
All right.
contacts.
That sounds like a good plan. We can start over here at the trailer.
All right, well, Dave, we moved over here to the towers, and this is one of several towers.
It's one of several antennas. It's the only tower set up out here, but it's one of several antennas.
This is one here.
Yep.
Over there.
There's a vertical mount antenna over there, and there's
Over
a vertical
here.
mount antenna over there. And then we actually have my portable alpha antenna set up for the GOTA station.
Right.
So actually, I forgot about it. We've got 4 antennas set up.
4
right
antennas
now.
here.
This one here is our beam. And this one, especially tonight, when the guys overnight, they'll be working this one hard on 40 and 80 meters to get contacts with. With this antenna here, a beam is a directional antenna. So really, off the front, if you're pointing, say I was pointed at California, just to use an example.
Sure.
And I heard somebody off the back end that was real quiet, and he could barely hear me. I could spin the beam around and point it if I know he's in Florida. I pointed at Florida, and all of a sudden both of our signals will come up. He'll hear me better, and I'll hear him better. So this is great for field day.
Right.
We would possibly, if we're going to be deployed multiple days on an emergency situation, take this trailer out. But most emergency situations, you're going to do one of the two verticals we've got, or what even they call a wire antenna, because you need something that you can get up fast in an emergency situation and not take a long time. Now, if you're going to be deployed on those situations 3-4 days, putting one of these up is great, because then say we were down here in Nixa, we could set it up and point it to Jefferson City and use that antenna strictly for our contacts back and forth with SEMA in Jefferson City.
Okay.
And then you've got the ones on ground. That way the messages can go back and forth between the emergency we're working and SEMA in Jeff City.
So this one with the beam on it kind of allows you to concentrate your signal and your return signals more. And more of these, the ground-based ones, the poles that just have one sticking right up in the air. You were saying earlier that's more of omnidirectional.
Right. It's what they call an omnidirectional. And what it is, when your signal goes out all directions off the antenna.
Okay. Yep.
Omnidirectional antennas are great. And your wire and omnidirectional antenna, vertical antennas, are perfect for setups in a fast deploy and emergency situation. A beam, of course, you got a better signal, so you're definitely going to be heard better. But I've made contacts on verticals and wire antennas all over the world.
Sure.
So it don't matter. Don't have to have a beam. A lot of guys, well, those are expensive, and I can't put a tower up. Well,
yeah.
We can just throw a wire in the tree. I can show you how to build a wire antenna, and you'll build that antenna and then make a contact and go, wow, wait a minute, I just did that off of what I made?
What's the farthest contact you've made?
Furthest contact I've made Australia.
Australia, really?
Yes, I have. Yeah, that's probably the furthest one, because I think Australia was 6,200 miles. I've made contacts into South Africa. I've made contacts into Great Britain, the UK. I've made Hawaii. I've made contacts into Japan.
Okay.
I've made contacts into Uzbekistan. I've made contacts all over the world.
So are you kind of keep track of, have you made all 7 continents?
Not yet, I haven't.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Is that a goal of yours?
Yes,
maybe?
that is a goal of mine.
Okay.
And all the DXCC. I'm pretty busy at work, so I haven't been able to play a lot of radio. So when the contests happen, I usually take at least an hour or two, especially on the DX contest, so I can see if I can make those. South Africa, it took me almost 30 years to make the contact in South Africa.
Okay, long time for that.
But the Australia one, and a lot of it depends. Like right now, we're at the height of the solar cycle, so that actually helps propagation. But then the sun's been, anybody knows anything about what they've been hearing about the solar flares and all that, that messes with radio waves.
Sure, yeah, it does.
But yeah, I've made contacts all over the world. Making contacts in the United States. I want to get all 50 states.
Okay, what are you up to right now?
I think I'm at 47. I think I got 3 states to get.
Okay, so you're close.
Yeah, I'm close.
Okay.
So I've got Alaska, I've got Hawaii. Those are 2 of the hardest ones to get. And some of the ones that normally are hard to get, I can't get right now.
Yeah.
And having so much time at work, I've also got to not play radio as much.
Sure.
So that's why days like field day, I come out. And even if I don't get on the club's radio over the next 24 hours, I like coming out and getting the new people like you saw earlier with the young children and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To come out and see what it's all about. And maybe they'll come back, invite them back to our meeting. Maybe they'll come back to a meeting. Maybe they'll be more interested in amateur radio.
Absolutely. All right, so you've got people making contacts for over an hour now. Field day began officially, I guess, at 1 p.m.
At 1 p.m.
And they've been in there making contacts. I said, let's go and take a look at the trailer and see if we can get some more, see what they're doing.
All right.
Inside the trailer, we found Brandon and Preston working hard to make contacts across the country. We sat down with Preston, who is making digital radio content.
What are you trying to do?
Yeah, so right now I'm working in digital mode. It's called FT8, and so I'm just trying to make some contacts with our other hams. So right here we had a person that put his call out here, so I'm trying to get a response to him, and looks like I just did right there. So we gave our exchanges. Our call sign is Whiskey Zero Alpha, and we are 3 Alpha Missouri. That's our exchange. And his was 3 Alpha West Virginia. So this station is out in West Virginia.
Okay.
We just successfully made a contact with him.
And so now this is different. This isn't the typical radio that I think of, like using the handpiece and all that kind of stuff. You're doing this on digital side.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So it's not using voice, it's not using Morse code, it's just digital. So you use a computer, and it basically converts your message into a digital signal, which is then sent over the air, and other computers then translate that back out into a message that you can read.
Okay. Now, Preston, you're named the webmaster.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so basically I maintain the club's website at nixahams.net. So go check it out there, but that's where we have kind of all of our club's information, a list of all of our repeaters. You can find announcements on there. But then I also help with a lot of the IT stuff as well. So I set up most of these computers with some help from some other people. Basically anything that is technology related, I kind of just help out with.
Sure. Okay, very good. Now, how many connections are you up to now?
Me personally, I just made that one so far, but it looks like over here, as a club, we are up to 10 contacts, it looks like.
Well, Dave, we've moved inside the trailer now, and it's a pretty nice trailer. You're saying earlier you redid a lot of this
Yes,
recently.
We replaced the flooring. We used to have a room right in here. We put carpet, and this is actually the same type of stuff they use in Missouri Highway Patrol repeater locations.
Oh, really?
So it's a good indoor-outdoor carpet.
Okay.
These 2 wood cabinets here, one here, and then the one over there. One of our members made those for us.
Really?
Yep.
They look good.
Yeah, he builds custom cabinets, and he built those for us. We've actually added a bunch of monitors in here. We put all new computers in. Preston here's doing FT8, which is part of the reason why we put the new computers in, so we get digital as well. Because there's a lot of the new guys. This is the kind of stuff they want to do. And as you can see on the map, we've actually, since 1 o'clock, we've already made all 4 corners of the United States: California, Washington, over here into Vermont. We haven't got up to Rhode Island yet, but we're down into Florida. We got Texas, and by the time 1 o'clock rolls around tomorrow, hopefully that map will be completely colored. We'll be making contacts in all U.S.
And so I guess right now we are working for Field Day primarily
Yes,
right
this
now.
is Field Day.
And so this is just kind of introduction, open to the public, hey, come check us out.
Right.
But this space is used during a lot of storms,
Right.
any kind of emergency manager response that might be needed. You guys are working out of this.
Yes.
And so how does that differ from what we're dealing with right now?
Right now,
What would change?
Right. Well, we wouldn't just be making contacts. It'd actually be a coordinated effort. We'd have certain people doing certain things at each station. A lot of that would be controlled by whoever's in charge of the site that we're on. But we wouldn't just be like right now, anybody, if there's a station open, they're more than welcome to come in on Field Day, jump in, and start operating. We would actually have people assigned to doing certain things at each station. But we would also probably have every radio running in here, not only the HF rigs, but we would have the VHF, the UHF, because we can stand up 2-meter antennas and 440 antennas. I think right now we've actually got a 6-meter loop stood up for Field Day.
Okay.
Off the trailer, and then we do have antennas that are actually mounted on the top of the trailer that we can
saw
utilize.
those, yeah. And so you're looking at all these different radios. Each station looks like there's 4 different radio setups, I guess.
Yes.
Well, and so what's kind of the difference between each? Are they listening to all 4 at the same time?
No.
Just waiting for one? Or
For
just one
Field
at a
Day,
time?
Field Day, everybody's just listening to the HF stations that
Okay.
they're working. Now, like we take it out to a public event or something like that, a bike ride or something, then yes, we'd be monitoring UHF, UVHF, monitoring the frequency they're being utilized for that event that day, and more than likely the HF stations would not be operating at all.
Okay.
So a lot of it just depends on what's going on. Now, in an emergency event, like a tornado or something like that, we're not only going to have the UHF, VHF operating, we are going to have the HF. HF is going to communicate back to SEMA at Jeff City. And if everybody doesn't understand what I'm saying, SEMA is Missouri's answer to FEMA.
Okay, kind of a state emergency management association.
It's exactly what it is. It's State Emergency Management Association.
All right.
And yeah, we've got friends that are in the Nixa Club that he's one of the coordinators for SEMA. With our trailer, and then Cox Hospital has a radio trailer. Between our two trailers, those will probably be the first two trailers called out in an emergency situation. Yep.
Okay. All right. It's field day. Amateurs and non-license holders like myself can get on a day like this and make contact.
Yep.
What do you say we go give that a try?
You want to do it on the go-to station?
Let's try to get me on the go-to station.
Let's go out here.
Let's try that.
Our best laid plans of putting me on the Get on the Air station, or GOTA station, quickly faded as there was a line forming with anxious kids ready to make their first contacts.
Kilo 0 November X-ray Alpha.
Freddie was one of those kids, and he made a successful contact with an operator in Vermont.
What was interesting about it?
It was just fun, like catching the person on the air.
Is it kind of crazy to think that they're all the way over in Vermont? Have you been to Vermont?
No.
Have you met anybody from Vermont?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Now you've made a contact with somebody in Vermont.
Yeah.
BA Mike Oscar.
Well, Dave, kind of looking around behind us, a lot of folks here. Had some families, some young kids coming in to check out your GOTA, your Get on the Air setup you have, which the field day is all about.
Right.
And so people might ask, well, it's 2025. Radio seems kind of old school. How is it still relevant today? How would you answer that?
Well, the first way I'd answer it is everybody knows about Hurricane Helene.
Yeah, they do.
A hurricane is not known for coming inland and doing more damage inland than it actually did in the coastal states that it came through.
That's right.
It wiped out Asheville, North Carolina. I've got friends that live there, and it literally wiped it out.
Yeah.
So when those floods came through, everybody had Starlink and all this internet service and all the cell towers. Well, water's so powerful, people don't realize how powerful water is. It not only took, when it destroyed all those buildings, the Starlink, it took down cell towers, completely took them down. So they had no communication whatsoever into Asheville, North Carolina.
And that includes Starlink.
That includes
setup
Starlink.
as well.
They didn't, because their antennas were gone.
Right.
So everybody will say, well, they had Starlink. No, actually, they didn't. They might have had the device. They didn't have nothing to hook it to get the signal.
Sure.
Well, there's a club in North Carolina that has a repeater up on a mountain that actually has great coverage because of the elevation. That was the only way by amateur radio operators, when everything first went down, that they got communications for emergency services and to get messages from people out to let family know they were safe, was ham radio. There wasn't cell phones. There wasn't telephone landlines to pick up. The only way they could do that was through that. I know of situations in hurricanes that have come through Florida where I've been monitoring on what they call the hurricane nets.
Okay.
And actually had people reach out from down there. They could use their radios to talk. They didn't have phone. They didn't have power. They didn't have anything else. They were trying to get a message to their loved ones that, hey, we're okay. House is destroyed, but we're fine and we're alive. They'll reach out to ham radio operators, give us the information, and we relay that to their loved ones.
Wow. And so in kind of those certain disaster zones, and we use Joplin as an example here locally. People might remember communications down, cell towers out. People couldn't get a hold of each other in Joplin, or even just trying to find out, hey, is my cousin okay who lives in Joplin?
Exactly.
Couldn't do it, but ham radio came in.
Exactly. Ham radio was in those deals, but also I know everybody remembers when AT&T and Verizon service just went down.
That's right.
And nobody had cell service. If I needed to get a hold of somebody, I could still get on either one of my radios. I could even get on, because all of our repeaters have battery and generator backup. So even if power went down, they're still up and running as long as that generator has gas in it.
And so with these radios, I mean, AT&T, Verizon, that's kind of a provide, and Starlink as well, all kind of a service provider.
Right.
With this, you just need the equipment and you're good to go.
Equipment and a license. That's
you're not
all
relying
you
on
need.
anybody else.
Nope.
All right.
Because, like I said, when that went down, if I needed to get a hold of family in California, I got friends out there that are ham radio operators.
Yeah.
I could get on, and actually there are ways to send email messages too. Say I have no internet around here.
Yeah.
I can send a message through my HF radio to another radio, say he's still got internet, and it gets that radio, and send an email to my family in California, even though we're down, let them know, hey, we're okay. Me and your mom are fine. As soon as I know more, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And that's another way to do that.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And the thing is, I can send it to what they call a transfer station, and if it can't pass it on, it'll hold that message until it can pass it on to get it. So there's a lot of things you can do. And some people say, well, I don't like talking on the radio. They got things called JSA call. You can actually type messages like the old bulletin boards in the early days of ham or internet.
Mm-hmm.
Ham radio still uses that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But it does it across RF. It doesn't do it across the internet. So the internet can go down and your radio still work.
And you can still get those messages through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's kind of, okay, yeah. So it's still relevant in this. Now, a lot of guys here today are just here, they're hobbyists.
Right.
Radio's cool.
Yep.
It is kind of fun. But there's a need for it today still with emergency
Very
manager.
much so.
Like we talked about, and then also in those certain circumstances where
Yep.
traditional communication might be down,
Right.
but radio's always there.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I always go back to Asheville, people, but that's
Yeah.
a perfect example. And it's kind of, people realized how long things were down there.
A long time.
They were able to,
Yeah.
to communicate out, to be able to get water, stuff like that, into Asheville and let it know where to go, where they were safe enough to come through and be able to stage this somewhere so the people in Asheville that were still there could get necessities. So yes, there is very much a need for amateur radio. CB, it's got its deal, but it can't reach out as far consistently as I can with an HF radio. Anymore, I don't rely on a cell phone at all.
Well, so Dave, people want to find out more information about amateur radio or your Nixa Club. Where should they go? How can they find you?
Well, we got a couple places where you can go and ask questions. We have a Facebook page, Nixa Amateur Radio Club on the Facebook. Our website is www.nixahams.net, and there's actually a contact link on there. You got questions or interested, you can send a message, and one of the 4 officers of the club, we all get that message. One of the 4 of us will respond to you.
All right, so you can check you out there, and it's open to anybody.
Yes.
Even if you don't have your license, you can still come and be
Come
a
to
part
the
of
meeting.
the club.
Yep, you can still come be part of. We've got guys that have got GMRS. There's several that are now members of the club and got their technician license.
Yeah.
When they first started coming, I first started talking to them, they didn't have no license.
And how they
And
do.
there's still some that all they've got is a GMRS license. They come to the meetings. We're a club that want to be open to anybody. We're not gonna, if you don't have your license, we're not gonna badger you. We're not gonna tell you got to go. I will say though, if you come to a meeting and some kind of vote's being done, if you're not a member of the club, you can't vote. That's all. That's the only thing.
All right. More information, website, Facebook page, and open events like this. Come check them out.
Exactly.
Get in contact with you, one of their board members.
Yep.
And
It'd be myself, who's David Harris, KE6GAE, KB0NHX, James, who's our trustee and treasurer, Sean, KB0, I can't remember his call sign. He's our president, or Randy, and right now I'm drawing a blank on both their call signs.
Yeah.
He's our secretary, but it'd be one of 4 of us if you send a contact in to get, and if you'd like to meet up somewhere. Also, I'll let everybody know, the first Saturday of every month from 8 a.m. in the morning to 10 a.m., I do what's called a Hammers Around the Ozark breakfast at Golden Corral in Springfield.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we meet in the
Okay.
back room, and it's not a club affiliated deal. It's not, you don't have to be a club member. You don't have to belong to a club. You don't even have to be a ham. If you're interested in ham radio,
Yeah.
come on out to that to ask questions too.
All right. Well, Dave, thanks for your time.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Tom, thanks for your time.
Thank you. At 8AA, field day.
Kilo 0 November X-ray Alpha.
Kilo 0 November X-ray Alpha, I believe. 1 Delta, West Virginia.
3A Missouri.
Okay, so last letter of your call, Alpha.
Correct. Say your call again.
Kilo 0 November X-ray Alpha.
Roger. 7-3. Okay, here's the whiskey 9.
Boom.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all. Okay.
We had a call.
Whiskey 9 Alpha, 1 Delta, West Virginia.
Well, so there you have it. Now, despite all the technology we have in the palm of our hands today, there is still a very real need for radio. Also, like you saw from some of the folks there on Saturday, it can be just a fun way to meet people and can even become a new hobby. Now, go check them out if you're interested. You'll find the Nixa Amateur Radio Club on Facebook at Nixa Amateur Radio Club and at their website, which is found here below, www.nixahams.net. Now, if you don't live near Nixa, well, don't worry, because there are over 1,400 radio clubs across the United States. I'm Tom Schmidt with Ozarks First. Happy Monday.